Welcome everybody to the Scale Up Show. This is your host Ryan Staley, and I am back for part two with Amanda Kahlow. Amanda is the CEO of OneMind, formerly two-time CEO. Prior to that, actually led the organization, founded and grew it into a massive brand at 6sense. She's doing some really amazing things as it relates to pressing the edge of what's possible with AI in terms of AI superhumans right now, specifically as it relates to go-to-market. Amanda, happy to have you back.
So excited to be here. It's been a while, Ryan.
It's been a while. It's been a while, right? So I'm like, first of all, I love that the last episode that we had, and we covered a lot of things that I normally don't discuss with guests. So if you missed that, go back and listen to that. Make sure you save this, download it, whatever. But go back and listen to that because we're gonna get deep on some stuff, and it's pretty cool. Amanda's like an open book as it relates to everything. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you is like we talked last episode about Mindy. Mindy is the superhuman that OneMind has that has some amazing capabilities to do basically, and it's one of the first that I've seen full function work of a human, right? And so there's the opportunity to offset headcount with basically the superhuman in some of the areas that just to give you a little bit of a recap are on the PLG side, sales engineer, but then it's also looking at other capabilities that can go way beyond that. And so my question for you, Amanda, is like, what happens if you hit AGI, right? And you exactly nail this category and you replace all the salespeople left, right? Which is an extreme scenario, right? I don't want to scare the shit out of anybody, but this is just a concept, right? I've thought about this. So what's your take on that? What's your thought on it? And would love to hear kind of what you're thinking.
Yeah, I'll just really quickly recap if anybody didn't see the last episode. So, OneMind Superhumans, we're building AI Superhumans. They have a virtual desktop, can do the thing that a human can do, a face, voice, brain. They can give a pitch, give a demo, join a Zoom, click around, share slides, qualify, pitch, close, onboard customers, etc. So our goal is to provide go-to-market human-like experiences across the life cycle of your sales cycle. To your question, what would happen if we were successful? And I don't say this, I'm not gonna, I mean, I'm one to like laugh and smile a lot, but it's not something to laugh and smile about in the sense that, yes, we will see jobs be replaced. I actually think it's inevitable. I don't think it's if, I think it's when. That the market is about to have a major fundamental shift. You know, you go back to the revolution, the industrial revolution, we used to carry bricks on our back, and then machines came along and we no longer carry those bricks anymore and jobs were gone. So we have to adapt. So we can either choose to lean in with love or we can choose to lean in with fear. And I like to choose to lean in with an optimistic mentality that there's a new world and a new way. And so to the sellers out there, some of the strategic jobs perhaps will still be in place for the next 5 years. After 5 years, I don't know. I actually think the superhuman, and we're going to get closer to AGI where she actually can do the selling and build the relationship, et cetera. But we need to adapt and we need to learn new skills and we need to level up and reuse like the skills and the principles that we've learned in our sales life cycle to where can we use them and apply them in this world where AI is really taking over. Yeah, I think it's an inevitability that's going to happen. And I do think there's a new societal structure that's going to come up as a result of it as well. I'm not here to talk about my politics, but perhaps there is do we all need to fight for it or can we have our basic needs met? And those that do want to fight and hustle can go out and fight and hustle.
So kind of like universal basic income as a standard. And then for those that want to work on top of it or improve themselves, like, is that kind of what you're thinking? Like,
yeah, I don't think everybody has to like imagine a world where we actually could thrive without being challenged and without the stress that we have today. Is the world that we live in today actually that great for everyone? I mean, I have family members who don't want to work. And I say, okay, don't work. I will work on behalf of our family, pick up my kids from school, do the things that I can't do because I have to go on trips. But it's not my place to judge whether or not, the hustle is for them. I don't think it's for everyone. Do I want to do it? Absolutely. I took 4.5 years off and I am stoked to be back. I love having engaging, challenging problems to solve. And it's such a super exciting time. I mean, how could I stay on the bench? Like I could not stay on the bench anymore with everything that's happening, but not everybody feels like this. And so I don't think we'd have to live in a world where everybody has to meet and to get ends meet and to get their basic needs met.
yeah, I mean, that's an interesting perspective. I think that's really creative. And kind of like my question first. My next question goes to, because it's like, all right, I can control a certain element with myself. I'm like you. I'm like hard driver. Like I like to make shit happen. I would get bored as hell if I was just sitting around all the time. Even like if I'm watching a movie and it's like not very good, I'm like, I could be working that, like I could be doing something where I like stretch the growth of like my brain or my capacity to read, right? But like what do you think like with kids, right? Like you got a 4-year old and a 2-year old. I got kids that are in that kind of, you know, junior high, early high school. So it's like, what do you think? And like, I'm curious on this because I didn't really think about this before we jumped on, but like, how are you going to look at like educating them and like basically developing them as humans in light that all this is kind of coming down the pipe? Like, what are you thinking for that?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm struggling with the answers as well. So I don't have all the answers. At my core, I want to raise my kids to be like good, amazing humans with huge hearts and empathetic humans before really smart humans. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I actually believe that's more important. I like to tell my kids, and they're like, "Why do you got to go on another trip, or why are you leaving?" I'm like, "Mommy's building generational popsicles, so you don't have to work." I don't want them to have to, but if they want to, I want them to have that opportunity to do it. And, one of the reasons I came off the bench is I do believe in myself and I want to show other women. I got really clear on my personal mission statement about 8 years ago that I am a passionate, positive, spiritual warrior to empower women and girls.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I did have fun, actually, I was on the bench for 4.5 years and I don't think I got bored. I played golf 5 days
Really?
a week. Oh my God, I was playing so much golf. I got so good at golf. It was crazy. I was that person. And, I read a lot. I was writing my book. I kept myself super busy. I actually got super into mountain biking as well. So I
Nice.
was biking like 2 hours a day.
Wow.
And then, I had my first baby and then had my second baby. And I'm a single mom. So I was alone doing those things. You sure don't get bored with the kids. But I like to say the kids sent me back to work because the hardest job on the planet is being a mom. So for those that are moms and working moms, actually, I believe, so please don't all hate me for saying this, but I believe working moms have it easier than stay-at-home moms. Stay-at-home moms is the hardest job on the planet. So I was like, I'm going to outsource the mom job and I'm going back to.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, being a mom anywhere, I think, is harder than being a dad. I might get lambasted in the comments for some of that, right? But yeah, I hear what you're saying on that. And
Any
that
parent.
makes
I just mean a parent. I'm not trying to that's not necessarily about the gender for me. It was just staying home alone with my kids was really hard, really hard.
so like what was the apple falling on your head moment where you're like, I want to create a new category? Like, I mean, and maybe it wasn't that simple, right? It's not like the what is it, George Washington apple fall on the head or Abraham, whatever. You get the concept. But like, what was that like for you? And then like, how did you just know that you're like, holy shit, I gotta go after this?
It didn't fall on my head. The fall of the apple took like probably 3 to 6 months before it actually hit and I was sure. But I always said there were three things I would look for if I'd come back to work. One, it had to be something that aligned to the world that I knew. So I wasn't going to go learn about healthcare tech or another industry. It had to align to go to market. I know go to market. That's where my connections are. That's the world I know. It's the world I care about. I'm passionate about. I didn't want to start over in a new industry or vertical. And it had to be AI, like some form. And this is before we knew of what was coming with the generative wave. Two, I believe it had to be a category creator. So it had to be something I was not going to come in as cool as some technologies are that are these efficiency gains or like, I can help you do this job slightly better, right? I could record your calls or update your Salesforce notes or make things more efficient. For me, that's just like making what we're doing in the world we live today slightly better. I'm a really big fan of Mike Maples, who is a VC in Silicon Valley. He talks about this concept of backcasting, and category creators are looking to the future and looking to redo the things that we're doing today in a more effective way. And most categories that are created, like you think of like Uber, for example, who is going to get in a stranger's car? Like 9 out of 10 people are like, F no. I was an F. I was like, no way. Airbnb, who's going to rent out their house? It's not going to happen. But there is the 10% or the 1% that are like, I see benefits to this. I see like this actually can get me to A and B faster and more effectively and more efficiently and a smoother ride. And I don't have to bring out my wallet and pay with cash. And so those benefits over time start to outweigh the negatives, right? Like the fear factor of doing the things. And for me, what I saw here at OneMind was, I'm not just updating Salesforce records or creating a better conversation or a better chatbot. I'm truly replacing humans. The most expensive thing on your P&L is a human. The costs of humans are 50 to 80% of our budgets in the sales and marketing realm. And if I could help create a better experience for the buyer, which I believe is like our North Star, I'm not solving for my buyers, I'm solving for their buyers. We put our buyers through for B2B perspective. We've been saying this for years and it sounds like cliche to say, but the buying experience is like grossly, disgustingly broken. We have to go to a website, we go to Perplexity or Google, we search, we land on somebody's websites, we dig around, 5% at best fill out a form or go to chat. Then they talk to an SDR that's there to qualify them and doesn't know anything about their business or give them a demo or share anything. And then when you qualify, you wait 2 more weeks to get an AE on the phone. And you talk to the AE, then you ask them technical questions. So then they need to bring a sales engineer and then they bring the solutions engineer. And holy shit, what are we making our buyers go through? What if we could shift that dynamic and put all of the power and control in the buyer's hands and provide a better buying experience? That means more revenue for our customers at the end of the day. If we shift control out of the seller's pockets and stop gatekeeping and keeping information from our buyers and give buyers the ability to have instant access, infinite capacity, answer any question at any time in any channel on the website, in a Zoom, wherever they go, that's going to be a win for all. And for me, that was like a massive category. So I love it when people say no and get rejected by the concept of our superhumans, because that means just like Uber, I feel like I'm onto something. If everybody loved it, I feel like I'm all right. This isn't it. This isn't going to work for us. But sorry, that was a long answer to your question.
No, it's great. And I love the term superhuman. That's actually the name of my newsletter. Superhuman Revenue is the name of it. So great concept there. Love what you talked about. And yeah, I think here's I'll give you an idea, right? I'll give you an idea. I got one more question. Then we got to wrap because of time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good.
I think you single-handedly could destroy in a good way the car buying experience if you threw Mindy into the auto buying experience, because that is literally the most soul-sucking waste of time I've ever experienced is whenever I buy a car. It's always like a 5-hour piece, even though I know I want to buy it, right? So just food for thought, little thought balloon there for
Love
you,
it.
Amanda.
I love it. Also think of engineers and developers. What engineer and developer who buys technology ever wants to talk to a salesperson? I
No,
may not, the superhumans may not work as well for like go to market technology because, maybe not, but I do believe some go to market and sales, marketing and sales people don't want to talk to humans either. But all those functions where they don't want to talk to a human, do they really want to talk to a salesperson? And how often does a salesperson hallucinate? A
true.
lot.
Yeah, people get wrapped around the axle of the 100% effective, but humans hallucinate too, or
All
they
the
don't
time.
always actually.
I
Okay,
will
so
I will
last
put my superhuman up against anyone's human any day, anytime. See who more accurate, like 99.999% of the time.
That's a good position. I like that. Okay, so last question. What's your favorite use case of AI through tools, not excluding what you provide, right? So what's your number one favorite use case as a tech AI first CEO?
I mean, I'm using this is going to sound basic, but I like Notebook because I like to create my own little podcasts out of content. I also like, I'm just exploring the uses of granola. It's like a whole new way of like taking notes and summarizing them and then writing the follow-up emails. And I'm using it to help me structure my meetings with my executives. So to
Nice.
keep us on task and like keep us in like going down a flow versus it just being like, oh, let's just show up and throw up, which I think some early stage companies have a tendency to do without the structure in place.
Awesome. Well, unfortunately, we're up on time for part two. I probably could have talked to you for another hour and we could have riffed on a lot of different stuff. But where can people find you? Where can they find out more about Mindy and OneMind?
Well, go to onemind.com, have a conversation with Mindy, have a real conversation, ask her hard questions, give her your real pain points, and watch her wow you. You'll get the magic moments when you ask her hard things. Or you can reach me on LinkedIn / Amanda Kahlow. If you're trying to sell me something, I promise you I'm not going to respond. So, but if you want to just contact me, I'm in.
She is honest, folks. She's very transparent and honest. That's one of the things I appreciate about her. Thanks for being on, Amanda. It was awesome for part one and part two. So thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was awesome. You're the best.
Appreciate it. And we will see you all on the next episode.